Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Oh my gosh, our world is so beautiful. So welcome to Wellness Wednesday, Native Wellness Institute. We come every Wednesday to uplift Nistu Nidaniko Mokoyo Sakoyi. I always like when my necklaces are crooked. Anyway, welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Native Wellness Institute, Nistu Nidaniko Mokoyo Sakoyi. I'm Scott Pikani, born and raised in Heartbeat, Montana. Heartbeat. I'm heading to Browntown, as you know, as Browning, Montana. Picking up my mother, and we're going to a family event. We have a whole bunch of elections, and a whole bunch of our family is running. Anyway, welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Wellness Wednesday. As most of you know, and it may be your first time, I could just do a short recap. Native Wellness Institute, we started with the Power Hour 6 years ago. We were on 7 days a week, 5 days a week. And a couple years ago, we come to you every Wednesday. We've been in existence since the 80s, and we became a 501c3 officially 26 years ago. We have a large team. I'm part of the board. I'm part of the training team. I'm part of the creation. And I'm just your badass auntie. Anyway, I've been feeling really good. It's starting to rain again here, but that's okay. We need the water. I love water. So, I live, if you're new to this, I live on the Blackfeet Reservation, but I have relatives from Siksikai, from Kainai, and Abutsapikani. And I have a lot of relatives from this side too. It's really interesting as I become older, as I meet everyone in the 60s club, 60 and over, 70s club. Woohoo! Congratulations if you made it to your 60s and your 70s, even your 50s. Congratulations. That means you must be doing something right in order to live this long and to live peacefully. I always like to share with people, I had a dream about water last night, and the dream was very vivid. So it's raining, but I'm just gonna take you outside for a bit because this is Lower St. Mary's, the lake in which I live. And I'll just show you a little bit of the lake. It's sprinkling. There's a lot of birds here. You might even see we have some red-tailed hawks that live here. We have some golden eagles. We have some bald eagles, and we got some osprey. So I wanted to start today because I want to talk about dreams. The dreams that you have when you're sleeping, and how significant dreams help with your healing. We come to you every week. This is my Uncle Gerald used to love to sit here and just watch the water. And the water's, I'm just showing you, it's pretty high. My neighbors over there, they're not home right now. They come in the summer. And for about a mile up, no one lives here during the winter. And believe it or not, like right in here where the snow will get above this bench right here. And when it blizzards, it even starts to, it can get, 3-4 feet of snow sometimes. One time in the driveway, it was almost as tall as my truck. I drive a Dodge Ram 2500, but I had to get plowed, and there was almost like a tunnel coming down to my house. But I just wanted to come to you and to look at this water, because, and you know, it's not to be analyzed, or I'm just sharing. Last night I went to a celebration of life for Peter Strikes with the Gun, and then I was at a memorial for the 1964 flood, and then I came from a 50th anniversary of some cousins who've been married 50 years. And there was so much healing that went on last night. Ooh, I got lots of birds. They're singing. I also have bird houses, and I don't want to disturb their babies because I think they have eggs in there. Oh yeah, they have eggs in there. So I want this dream that I had, and it's a healing dream, and I'm just sharing with you because, you know, people that know you can interpret your dreams, or they're the best that can show you what the significance. So I 1 year ago, and it was in May, I transferred my lodge, my teepee, we call teepees here lodges, to Swift Current. And I had wanted to give it to his daughter, but she was not too young and to understand, so I transferred it to him. And so this lodge was in the dream last night. Ew, they're all just singing, "Hi, birds. Hi, birds." They must know you guys are all here. They want to visit with you. So in the dream, it was a fast flowing, you can see the incline. I have to mow this. But in the dream, it was a fast flowing river, kind of like Big Badger. We call it Big Badger. It's on the south side. Or we got Kennedy. Kennedy's up this way to the north. And there's a lot of, you know, we got 29 lakes on this reservation. And we have a lot of tributaries because there's still 26 glaciers that, I just, look how good my flowers are doing. Woo-hoo! Oh, but you know, it's been chilly. So I've just been really, I always get flowers and I don't want them to freeze and that kind of stuff. And but in this dream, there was a big, it's like Big Badger, you know, big flowing river. And that lodge, and yesterday it reminded me, because we were looking at, you know, Peter Strikes with a Gun, his Black Buffalo, his lodge, but this lodge didn't have no painting on it. And I thought, oh, because it's not my lodge, because it was transferred to Swift Current, and now it's with his family, and hopefully goes to his daughter Josie when she gets older. And when I die, you know, you should always transfer your stuff, because when you're dead, you can't say nothing, eh? When you're dead, you can't say, oh, I should have left a will. So you should do all these things before you're dead. And I just say that because, okay, so in this dream, I could see like how at the celebration of life for Pita Boy, Eagle Speaker yesterday, his was up on the wall in multi-purpose building at Picanni, Brockett, Alberta. Yeah, and so I could see that was how my lodge was. Yeah, when you're dead, you better work it out now, because when you're dead, you can't say nothing. You can come back and pull their hair. Eh? You can come with a smudge, and just sometimes you can put sweet grass or sweet pine or cedar. When you smell that, that's your ancestors. They're just saying, I'm here and I'm watching what you're doing, so you better do the next right thing. Get all caught. Anyway, in this dream, I could see the lodge. And it looked like it was laying over. I'm going to walk in. The rain's starting to come. Just be out here for a little bit, because, God, it smells good. I wish I could, you know, get out on the land. Walk out on the land. You know, listen to oh, yeah, there's red-breasted robins. There's all kinds. Anyway, this dream, and I wanted to talk about, paying attention and getting enough sleep hygiene for your to remember your dreams. In the dream, the lodge was like laying, and to me it looked like a road, but it was a fast moving river. And when I got closer, I saw that it was my lodge, because my lodge is not painted, except for Omi Crawford sewed it long time ago on the teepee liners, and it was in pretty 90% perfect condition. I could see it was my lodge laying on at the end of that flowing river. But as I got closer, the lodge spread out and it covered the whole water. And now as I'm sharing this with you, it was like the water is our lodge. And it was like, maybe I wasn't a human form. Yeah, humans stay in lodges, but I wasn't. The water was my lodge and is my home. And that's it, just Nitsitapi or Sixakatapi, Blackfoot Confederacy. We put a lot of honor into the beavers, into the water animals. I'll just look up because there's Loa's loons, there's Osprey, just in case you get to see something out here. And I don't know why I wanted to bring you outside. I do know, because the outside our world. I was just looking. I always have my brother Ira in the in the 80s and 90s was a lot of the development of the ENI, our buffalo program. But when he first negotiated that they could go hunt buffalo in Yellowstone and that, back, 25 years ago or so, when they would go and one of he'd get skulls and he'd get them for the ceremonies if people pulled skulls or they needed buffalo. But he gave me a skull. And here's the one that he gave me. I've been here 31 years, so it's been a while. But look at this skull. There might have been a bullet right there, but I've just left it as is. And I just put it, on the end of my log home. It's 80 by 40. And so I'm just sharing, this is where I live now, and I hope to. This is where I hope that I live here till I cross over. And I always say that prayer. It's a good prayer to say. Always say a prayer that you want to live for others to live a long, healthy life. That's the best prayer. But also say for your life. I always say I want to live here until my last breath. I hope that I'm here, even if later on I'm not as mobile. I'd like to be here, not in a hospital with a bunch of tubes or all of that. And I don't want to be judging anyone who wants to die in a hospital with a bunch of tubes and that such, So in this dream, I'm sharing it with you because we find out what your rhythm is. Your rhythm. Do you have to sleep 7 hours? Can you sleep 6 hours? Where you remember your dreams. And so last night, before, it was such a good healing. But we're shifting some family vehicles right now. So I told Mom, don't worry. So I had to get up really early and drive to Browning and pick her up, and then go to the Celebration of Life in Brockett. And because they had invited all of the stand-up headdresses to come in with chief and council to honor the legacy of Peter Strikes with a Gun, Peter Boy. And, and it was such an honor. And my mother, and those of you, she'll be 88 in October. She said, I want to go up there and I want to honor Peter, because Peter did so much for not only the nation and his wife. I mean, it's hard to, him and his wife together, and she's a provost, they did so much. Because I told Mom, I said, you know why I always respected him? Because when we first met, I shared with him how long I'd been sober, and he really, just really listened and gave stories about sobriety and about having a clear mind, and about you have to have a clear mind to have sanctified kindness, to give kindness to others. And so, but Mom had her reasons, and I go, well, Mom, let's go up there and we'll bring your headdress. But my mom, she packs a suitcase just in case. She goes, I packed a suitcase with the change of clothes and all the stuff I need, just, because Indians, when they go on a trip, just in case just in case, like, what do you have in there? Like, I know some of my friends, they bring their vibrator. Just in case, so that you don't objectify other humans and use them for their body parts. Hey, anyway, so Mom packed this extra suitcase, and I picked her up, and then we drove, and we got there. We got there like an hour before it started at noon. But boy, I tell you, there was so many cars and so many trucks, and there was horseback riders, and there was just and everybody was dressed up, except that one cousin that just been wearing the same pair of sweats for 5 days, eh? Maybe 6 days, eh? All greasy, didn't even comb their hair. They came too, eh? How come, when you're on the res, we just say, we just love you anyway. It's okay if you've been wearing those sweats for 7 days, eh? But stand downwind, eh? Anyway, we got there, and I like to make things comfortable. I said, Mom, I'm gonna park War Pony right by those outside toilets, and one end made sure it had hands on it. I said, I'm gonna park right here, just in case, and we're gonna park facing out so we don't get boxed in. These are old Indian tricks, eh? I was parked facing out. I was parked by the bathroom, eh? Anyway, but then from that moment on, there was such honor. Oh, there was such honor. Everybody, as soon as they see my mom, and it's just an honor to escort my mom anywhere, and we had our headdress carriers, and the Snodgrass was taking care of all of the, the logistics, and they let us sign in, and they escorted us. So remember that, to escort your elders, walk with them, show them, don't talk it out or don't pin them or give a GPS, take them there. So they wanted us, they said, we want you to sit in the second row behind Chief and Council. And we went, whoa, because, Indians, and when we're still in trauma, we sit way in the back so we can see everything. We got our back to the wall. That means you still need some more healing. Eh? Or you just want to see what exes come in the room, just in case you need to exit stage left. Anyway, so we got escorted, and that's where we sat. And then the other headdresses, and thank you, Amber Strikes with the Gun, for inviting us. Thank you, the family. Thank you for just to honor Peter's, because Peter he'd be 84 in July, and it sounded like he knew he was going to go, and he made some requests, and they honored all his requests. That was so beautiful. And of course, the listening to the stories, from Chief and Council about Peter, listening to stories from Albertine Crochue. Oh my gosh, just so beautiful. There was the Shade family there, the Provost, the No Chief, of course the Crochues, and Troy was emceeing. But they would tell stories about all of the accomplishments of Peter and his legacy. And it was because they're telling you so that you continue the legacy. So remember that, when you're and I believe just, with the smudge and the prayers, that's why I had that dream last night, because it was just a beautiful dream where the water is our lodge. The water now, it's starting to rain quite a bit. The water is our lodge. The 26 glaciers are melting. The 26 glaciers, it's fresh glacier water. And but you can see the skies have darkened. And this is kind of unusual for June 10th. Usually by now, it sounds, we might have a little bit of thunder and lightning, because Blackfoot's, and I don't know about you, but I love lightning. I mean, I don't know what it is, like, ba-boom, ba-boom, lightning, ba-boom, thunder. Woo! When there's thunder, I just feel alive. I feel just like I can just thrive. And that's, and sometimes if there's a ceremony going on, and you'll see it with some of our Blackfoot, so a ceremony going on, right where it's going on, there'll just be thunder and lightning. And then outside of that perimeter, it's not thunder and lightning. Because, that's how powerful our ceremonies are. They bring the weather. They change the weather. They bring the thunder. And, a lot of we go by, when you first hear the thunder, like, ba-boo! And our bundle holders know that they got to get ready, because they got to start all of that for the ceremonies when they hear the thunder. And then the lightning is just added, it's just added medicine. Lightning. And then there's the rainbows, because, yesterday we could stay for a while. We went to the grave site, and we hugged as many people as possible. And I just want to mention, and I'm so grateful. They asked anyone that had a pipe or a bundle. And, of course, I looked to my mom, and she goes, come on. And, my mom, all her life, she fasted at equinox and at solstice. I thought everyone did that. She would fast for 4 days and pray. And even later on, she'd be in a fasting place, but later on she would still go to work and she would still take care of business, but she would fast on the solstice and the equinox. And June 20th is our next solstice. I think it's in the morning, so that's coming up in 10 days. So between now, to help you remember your dreams, and this is just words of encouragement. The next 10 days, try to get that rhythm of your body to sleep good. If it's 8 hours, to go to bed, peacefully, calmly, shut off the electronics. It's good to shut off your phone, maybe early evening, and just, light your smudge, have visits with your, I'm listening to that sound way across. Maybe thunder was going to happen. Anyway, so, just 10 days from now, see if you can sleep peacefully enough. And before you go to bed, when you make your smudge, or you say your prayers, and however you say your prayers, I know everyone is not Blackfoot, and I don't mean to ever impose there's a right and a wrong way. But however you were taught to pray before you go to sleep with your family, or you might pray with your cat or your dog, or, you might call someone up. She used to call and just pray and crow, and then she'd say, your turn. And then I'd have to pray and much as Blackfoot, and then would visit. So when you pray, in your prayers, ask to remember your dreams. I just remember last night, because after all of that. I didn't get back home till, let's see, what it was, 15-hour day when I finally got back to where I could crawl in. And I always, when it's this kind of weather, I always have an electric blanket, so the bed is all cozy. I guess I don't know if I'm part Kyayo or Boxikwe or bear. I like to crawl in. You know, I don't mind. Like right now, it might be like 35 Fahrenheit. But I don't feel cold. But when I go to sleep, I like to sleep like in a den, a wolf den. Nistu ni Daniko Makoyo Sukoyis. So I like to be warm and cozy. And, you know, you have your cozy pajamas on. But asking your prayers, say, you know, Shtabat. That's outside. I said, please let me remember my dreams. And I have to sleep 8 hours. Please let me dream and sleep 8 good hours and wake up refreshed. That's always the last part of my prayers, you know. So let me wake up refreshed. And you know what? It was like on the dot. I slept exactly 8 hours, and I had that dream. And so the dream is this, you know, I always, where this is at, I always put the tobacco out, you know, put the tobacco out there at that bench. I always walk, you know, a couple miles up this way north is a old wagon trail. They say Alex Gladstone told me that it was the Old North Trail because there wasn't Highway 89. There was none of these roads that we've built. And that was how they went across the medicine line. Of course, over to Whiskey Gap, eh? But I walk up this way. But as I'm going, I take the pastascan, the tobacco, because you know, the berries are starting to form. You know, the bullberries, the Savis berries, the choke cherries. And then there's, you know, we got the horsetail, we got the sweet pine, we got, you know, there's the cottonwoods with the star in the middle. There's the miniguppy, you know, that grows. There's the glacier lilies that you can eat. There's even, you know, the dandelions. On our whole reservation, we still have all our medicines are growing. The yarrow, you know, the goxamy, the sage. And, yeah, okay, now it is getting, I'm out here in the wind. It is getting a little bit chilly. But I want that dream. I'm sharing it with you because I don't know what it completely means, but I'm starting, as the day goes on, I understand why I dreamt that. You know, because out here, there's, in the evening, the beavers always swim by, and they like to swim over this way and go to the corner of the beach out there. I'll call it a beach, eh? Try to act all Napiaki, the beach, eh? Out on my beach, eh? There ain't no sharks here. Anyhow, and then in the evening, the beavers swim by again, and it is chilly. You know, there's a lot. There's geese. There's some geese here. There's not so much ducks, but there's loons. There's a lot of loons. Last year we had about 32 that like to live right here, and they have their babies. And one of the beautiful things with the loons is they, when they first have them, they put the baby loons up on their back, and the baby loons get to swim on their back. And then, you know, and this has to do with parenting, then they push them off. They get to swim close, but they got to learn to swim on their own. And so, you know, parents are caregivers. I've been saying caregivers. If you're raising children, you got to raise them so that they know how to survive on their own. They have you, but so that they're independent. And they pay their own bills. They pay for their own car. They pay for their own groceries. They pay, you know, they get themselves into college and they do their own study. Don't be writing your kids' paper, eh? I know some of you do because we want them to be successful. You can help them, but let them. And it's okay if they make mistakes, you know, because res kids, I remember when we went to college, we used to always call them FOR, fresh off the res. And, you know, that meant that they didn't know nothing about the city. I had a friend named Alice Hefty. She didn't even know how to pump gas because her husband pumped all the gas, eh? Anyway, so this fresh off the res, you know, and it's good to be bicultural, tricultural, to know the city life and to know this life. This is just feeling too good for me. I guess I'm just gonna stand out here visiting with you. But the dreams, you know, I just got off Native Wellness Institute. You can go to www.Native Wellness Institute. We have Zoom training and regular training. So there's a training going on right now that I helped with this morning called Being Trauma and Healing Informed. Wow, what a group. So Jolene is taking over. She met with all of them yesterday, and I got to visit with them all this morning before I joined you on Wellness Wednesday. We were talking about the trauma web. We were talking about the positive characteristics of ourselves, and we were talking about how we have to heal the healers and self-care. It was just really, but I talked a little bit about, I mentioned this dream, but all that it's, you know, you're healing when you sleep good and you feel refreshed. If you sleep good and you're not refreshed, then you need to take a recess and take a break and go out on the land, lay out on the land. Now the rain is like stopping again, so I'm just gonna, I don't know, it just feels so good out here. You know, we got all the cottonwood. And see that cottonwood over there? See the, you can see where the bear climbed up it and scratched it. The bears hang around here. A boxy-quay, I got a sow and 3 cubs hanging out around here. So if you hear me go, ah! I don't think the bear, okay, so the bears are never gonna attack you if you have a treaty with them, you know. And I dream, anyway, and part of the treaty is, you know, these Saskatoons are these Savisberries. When you're around them, when you go out to go pick, and you could do it with huckleberries and others, but the Savisberry it reunites the treaty with Kyayo or Boxikwe. There's that first, when it's just ripe and you want to take it, and you just want to bite it, and it's just juicy berry. You take that berry and you pray for the Kyayo and the Boxikwe. You pray that it has a good summer, it has plenty to eat, and it's nice and fat when it goes into its den. And then you pray that there's no violence between you and that bear. And then you take that berry and you get the black dirt and you dig a little hole and you put that berry in there. That's why we have in our ceremonies, we always have the berries are collected and they reignite that treaty with the bear. But it also means that you respect the bear. You know, we joke enough because there's no matter what, the tourists are trying to pet the bear or the bear. Let's see, I think the bear just ripped up some white guy a couple weeks ago, May 28th or something. But he was smart enough, he put up his arm because he would have got him here or in his head, but he's rehabbing. He's going to be okay. He didn't take his life. Like the other bear took the gentleman's life. And that he probably never did his ceremony with the berries. There's a lot of ceremonies that you should do to remember your dreams, and there's a lot of ceremonies that you need to do to harvest plants and to take care of plants. And so we always share some of that on Wellness Wednesday. I mean, I don't know everything. Some days I feel like I don't know a damn thing. And then some days I'm like, smarty pants, eh? And then it's not good to be smarty pants, and sometimes I learn a lesson and then I relearn it different. Like right now, yesterday I was going out and I was putting out the tobacco in the water, and maybe that's why I had the water dream, and I was putting tobacco over by the choke cherries, and then I was putting tobacco, because like if you look at these okay, I hope you can see that they're trying to turn into a berry, bullberry. And so when you make that treaty with the plant, when you go put the pistas on and you dig by the plant and you put it in the dirt before you dig it, before you harvest it, it's a good idea, to take some time and be patient and say the prayer. Like right now, I was just, because the leaves of the Saskatoon or the Savisberry, you can pick those too and make a tea, and it helps regulate your insulin if you have type 2 diabetes. A couple cups of that, like in the evening, and this isn't about just the recipes, but it will regulate your insulin. So I was just, as I went out, I was just saying my prayers. And when I'm home, I travel a lot. I'm going to Wampanoag. I think I have to fly to Boston in a few days. I'm going to be out there doing wellness in the workplace. Native Wellness Institute, we do a lot of wellness in the workplace. We do a lot of healing from loss and grief. And just like the Zoom was looking through a trauma lens and a healing lens, so that you can understand people's behavior and help their behavior to be better. And I just really, in remembering your dreams, I have my journals, but my journal was in the living room, and because when you wake up, your dream may be vivid or it comes to you later on, but you should write it down. Keep a dream journal. So, and I just draw pictures, because sometimes there's not enough to write all those words. I just drew the river, and I just drew the lodge, the teepee that was on top, and how the whole teepee became the water. And so that was a beautiful dream to me, because I could feel that water cleaned you, water sustained you, drinking water in our body, water around us, water, even if you do drink bottled water, put that first sip, spill some of it, and give your ancestors a drink. Give your ancestors a drink. And then you drink. And I could, as I'm here, and I think that's why I want to be near the water. If I jumped in this water right now, I might get hypothermia. Because it is glacier water, and it's cold, and the only time I get cold is if I get wet and I'm in the wind. And now the wind's picking up, and that sapu, the wind blows away all the negative feelings. It's good to have big winds, That's why, yesterday I was just enjoying Piikani Nation. Everyone was just, the kids, the adults, everybody was just walking around, and it was blowing, enough to kind of blow your braids. It was enough, but people were just walking, and then they walk leaning down into the wind so that they just don't blow over. Anyway, yesterday was so beautiful, because it was a traditional services, and in the traditional services, they sang the Red Coat song, they sang the Blackfoot Confederacy song, and they even sang the 1988 Olympic song, and then at the end they sing the Journey song home. so there was always a speaker that would tell stories, not just about Peter, about our people, because Peter always believed in sharing the knowledge with the Napi stories, sharing the knowledge with, the bundle stories, sharing the knowledge. He had so much knowledge, and him and his wife, they gave so much. They were just transparent. They never tried to be, and they never wore false eyelashes that a bird could land on. So this traditional services, but I'll just share with you when they asked everyone to get up there and pray together, and I just instantly, I held the hand of my one sister on the left and my other sister, and we have stand-up headdresses because we're nothing, we're just human. But I closed my eyes, and our headdresses have the medicine to uplift people. So I just closed my eyes, and I could hear everybody there. I don't know, maybe about 25 people, 30 on the left of me, and there was because more came up. I didn't see who came up, because you shouldn't be staring around. I just closed my eyes, and hi o strabatapi, hi o nina, hi o napi natusi, hi o kita piwa, no gakimokin, no gaspomokin. And then everybody on the left was praying. But something happened when we were all standing in that, because it was traditional services. That much power, all praying together, not judging each other, only loving each other, and only thinking kind thoughts to each other. And tears just began to roll out of my eyes, and I was getting a healing because it was dripping. It was dripping down on my dress. The tears, and that's in ceremony. When you're getting a healing, you may not be crying, but the tears will just flow, and they were just flowing. And I just was saying, thank you for this healing that you're giving me. Thank you. And I felt, since then, I just feel light. Like I feel like 100 pounds was lifted. I don't want to worry. I don't want to hold on to any regrets. I don't want to, no grudges. Just let it go. Let it go. And let the past go. Remember the good things and start to move forward with yourself. That's why they have the 12 steps, eh? It helps our non-native people, and it helps our native people. So I just wanted to mention that because there were so many parts in the celebration of life of Pita Boy, of Peter Strikes at the Gun, that was healing. Even they put him in a wagon drawn by 2 horses, and they put there was horseback riders, and I'm sure maybe sometimes they'll be their favorite horse. Sometimes I remember when I was a little girl, sometimes they would shoot their horse and put it in and bury. Their horse would go with them, so they'd have a horse on the other side. But they then we went it took a while to get to the cemetery, and there were so many cars, you couldn't count them, in front of us and in back of us. You could just see the horseback riders, and it was just, and there were some people singing, and this traditional celebration of life. And they sang almost during the whole, the tributaries, and then they sang at the gravesite, and then they said prayers at the gravesite, and then they sang some more. It was so beautiful. There was just so much singing, and 20, 25 singers together, and they all know each other, and you could tell they were teasing, because it's like, no, you lead. You lead, eh? And then a young person would just bust it out. Ah! It was just so beautiful. It was just so beautiful. But once they started singing, it was like perfect harmony. Perfect. It was like one person was singing together, and it was like that collective agreement of all of our Thunderpipe bundles, our Beaver bundles, Blacktail bundles. It was just all of our ancestors were in that room with us, because when we're together like that, our ancestors are right there by our side. They're right with you. They're not with you when you're in the casino gambling your rent money. Eh? They're with you when you're in ceremonies and you're all singing together. Anyway, it was just so beautiful. It was just that time where, we were all together and we were honoring his life and his legacy. And over, I just kept hearing people just say over and over that it was the kindest heart, would never judge. They never heard him get mad. They never heard him use harsh words. It would be teasing. It would be gentle storytelling with, giving advice to things in life. And so then I want to kind of switch gears for a minute. The day before that, because Peter's celebration was 3 days long, and so I went for the last day of it. But on June 8th, it's very important to memorialize. We had a memory of the 1964 flood, and on our reservation. And it could have been non-native. They could have. It wasn't natural, but the dam broke, and we lost people at Birch Creek. We lost people even at Kennedy. We heard river up here. There was some people lost, and their lives were lost, but it changed our reservation forever. So they have a memorial. So you can come next year. It's always on June 8th, and it's in the Loop by the museum in Browning. But this year, the reason I'm mentioning it is because we had all of our 6 of our tribal council come. And yes, we're in election. We have a general election June 30th, but they all came and they spoke such good words. Our Senator Susan Weber talked about when she was in the flood, 10 years old. Cleo Main talked about when she was her pain, and I'll let they can tell you their story, but we talked about how it broke some of our families. And I know in my family, we lost, he was 32 years old, Sam and Ethel Williamson, and their baby Patty, we lost them in the flood. But we memorialized it, and it was so good because a lot of my cousins were there, and even little Charles Newbreast came in to represent our men, and we were able to pray together, shed some tears, and then the lesson that we all got to help each other. At that ceremony, I mean, they fed barbecue to a couple hundred people. They had giant wreaths that were the Bird Rattler family had put these giant flower wreaths for the Fish family and for those we lost in the 64 flood. And so it was just so beautiful, and it was emotionally healing. And again, my mom, and I could tell, I said, well, Mom, what do you think? And she just said, oh, that was the best. And that's what she said about the celebration of life. Oh, that was so good. Take your elders to things. Let them heal. Let them feel people tell their story. Let them hear truth telling. And, and that's why I'm going to saddle up in a couple of hours here and go to Browning and pick my mom up, and we're going to go spend some time with, I think, the Mary Rivas family, and she invited other candidates. We're just going to spend time with family because we have 10 people running, and we're going to select 5 who will be our new council members. And that's how democracy works. You know, that's how it's working on our reservation. So I just so dreams and this remaining time that we have together. In my dream journal, sometimes it's good to go back and to look at what you dreamt a couple years ago, what you dreamt a couple months ago. And then are you, because your dreams guide you. It's just like, you know, when I always share with people that going to Peru, I had a dream I was supposed to go and pray with the rocks. I love rocks. I was supposed to go pray with the rocks in Peru, and so in 2012, and so I made my way there, and it was what I needed to do, because even when I was at Cusco, you know, that means belly button. And then when we made our way up to Alitatambo, which means llama, and then to Machu Picchu, we went and prayed with the rocks. And the night before I went to Machu Picchu, I had a dream about a giant sundial, and it's kind of to around the condor meeting the eagle, but at this giant flat sundial, there was a painted lodge, and it was a Blackfoot painted lodge. And now I see that was acknowledgement of those Inca ancestors, saying there's that the Blackfoot, the equality, there was an equality of spirit, there was an equality of ceremonies. And because I was thinking, geez, I'm way out here and I'm dreaming about a painted lodge on an Inca. But that's, your dreams will show you stuff. And you know, if when people come in your dreams, or you know, you might dream about sometimes it's not that person, it's you. It's you're actually it's a dream about you. You know, you might dream about a police officer, but that you're actually that police officer. Or, you know, I'm just saying sometimes, and you'll get to know, one of the things is pay attention to the feelings. Write all of the feelings down when you're remembering your dream. Did you feel vulnerable? Did you feel scared? Did you feel elated? Did you feel curious? Just write that emotional IQ. And, you know, sometimes when we're healing, you have to use different words, you know, like, ooh, I feel elated. Ooh, I feel majestic. Ooh, I feel, don't be thinking that way, eh? Ooh, you know, just increase your knowledge of feelings. That's an emotional IQ. And then how are you feeling? It's just like right now, I was going to sit in there. I made a fire, a wood stove fire. I'm just all cozy. I just had a roast beef sandwich because I eat a lot of meat, eh? And I thought, I got to go on. And here I just walked outside. Because I feel invigorated. I feel refreshed. I feel, and I'm telling you that because I want you to feel like that. I want you to feel invigorated, you to feel refreshed, you to feel renewed, you to feel just positive, so that you're alive. You woke up this morning and you were alive. And you woke up this morning and you said your prayers. And if you're thinking about someone, pray for them or call them up. Or better yet, write them a card or a letter. I want to write a few cards here, some thank you cards. People have been sending me stuff and I really appreciate it. Just doesn't, you know, sometimes I think, wow, I got to sit here and write 100 thank you notes. Because I get all kind of unusual stuff in the mail, eh? To Layla, I still haven't, they sent me my Pendleton brown hat. I got it in the box. I kind of don't want to bring it in the rain, but yay. Oh, a bird just, there's the bird. Look. Little birdie. Anyway, I just love my birds. I'll go like that. You might be able to see if I don't talk as loud. But they're used to my voice. My pet foxes, he likes my voice. He likes to, I say, Buksaputs in the pa, and he comes. And Apikai, my pet skunks, they like to come. But again, I won't say they are my pet grizzly bears because I respect them. And I never try to pet them. But I pray to them. And I pray that, especially the subadults, because they're not cubs anymore, they're subadults, that they have a good life, that, that good prayer, that they have a long, healthy life. But these dreams, keep that dream journal and sometimes discuss, I think now, how do we remember our dreams? Because that was the first thing our mother would ask us when we woke up in the morning. She would say, "What'd you dream last night?" And then our family would spend time talking to each other. Well, this is what I dreamt. This is what I dreamt. And then we'd talk, well, maybe that's what that symbolized. Maybe that's what that meant. It's really the ones closest to you talk about what you dreamt, and it guides you. I mean, even, I was just thinking, some of my relatives who they dream a pattern and they bead it, or they get it painted on their lodges. They dream, and they might dream about something like, an atlatl. Hey, an atlatl. That's what we used to use before there was guns. We could throw that arrow would go straight through the animal. You might dream a pattern. You might dream a color. You might dream, I was just, and sometimes you might dream that you need to let go. You need to move on. That might be in your dream. So pay attention to your dreams, because half of your life you're sleeping. And if you can't remember your dreams, you're wasting half of your life. And so I just thought I just wanted to just tell you. And as we're kind of winding down, on our training that I was just on, the question was, how have you healed, and how do you keep your healing going? And so there was a discussion, and I'll just end with that, is, how they tell you each week, you've been you've been on your phone for 7 hours and 6 hours, 5 hours. You should put down that phone and do some of your healing. Shut off your phone and go to a 12-step meeting. Shut off your phone and listen to, I'm going to shut off my phone and go listen to some candidates. I'm going to shut off my phone and go for a walk in the woods. I'm going to shut off my phone a lot when this water warms up and just go for a swim. Because once I get out in the water, I like to sneak up on the loons. I like to, spend 1 or 2 hours just playing, because it is your birthright to thrive and to live joy. I'll say it again. It is your birthright to thrive and to live joy. And it's never too late to have a happy childhood. If things weren't so great, it's okay to be with the butterflies, to blow bubbles, to skip, to ride a bike, to, just do all of those things. Watch some cartoons, eh? Watch something with your children. Watch Disney, eh? It's never too late to have a happy childhood. And so we come to you every Wednesday. It's always positive, productive, and proactive. We just want to uplift you, and that's our reason for being here. So it's an honor to come and to just to be myself. There's no script. There's no movie cameras. There's just badass Auntie. Just me, just sharing with you. And as always, it's about healing. And as always, it's about self-care. And it's always about healing the healers. And you can't give away what you don't have, or you can only take people as far as you have gone. So I just try to share things. And so this hour was about paying attention to what you dream. And because your ancestors speak through the dreams. Your creator, God, speaks through the dreams. And if you're having nightmares, you're not in recovery. Eh? Because remember those those nightmares when we used to drink whiskey? Hey, lots of nightmares. Then you woke up with them. Hey. Anyway, just pay attention to your dreams. You know, I always tease. And Kitsikako Mem, I love you very much. Kitsikako Mem, thank you for paying attention. Kitsikako Mem, share this with someone who needs a positive message. Kitsikako Mem, that you listen to my stories and you help me. So I'll see you next Wednesday. Kitakito Matsuno.